Hey yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of the Real Rob Show. Appreciate you joining in. Hang out with me on this week's episodes of talking all things movies. Got a special new review for you, spoiler free as always. Gonna be talking about the film Blink Twice. So I'll give you my thoughts on that movie, of course, spoiler free once again, as well as some news going on around horror, DC, and anything else I can find to talk about on the show. So appreciate you joining in, and let's have some fun with this episode. Again, we're talking Blink Twice. This film is rated R. It is currently playing in theaters with a runtime of 1 hour and 42 minutes. It is classified, as a mystery thriller film. A little bit about the synopsis: tech billionaire invites a waitress and her friend to join him and his friends on a dream vacation on his private island. Of course, things end up going a little spooky, scary, crazy on said island, man. So, this movie, honestly, going into this movie, I saw the trailer maybe twice. I was actually surprised how little I saw this trailer, because if you've been with the show for the while, with a can't talk, but if you've been listened to the show for a while, you know I pretty much go see a new movie every single week. I've got the Regal Ultimate Unlimited Pass thingy, and I have a good time going to the theater every week because I love movies and it gives me something to talk about on the show. And I didn't see the trailer for this movie at all. I think I honestly saw it maybe twice before seeing the movie actually in theater. So that was good. But I remember the first time I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, this is an interesting idea. I like it. This would be a good movie, interesting movie, good little thriller film to check out. And, when I was watching the trailer, kind of got some Knives Out vibes, especially Glass Onion, Knives Out too, when I saw that trailer. But I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'll go check it out. There's another movie that came out this week, and not going to be negative, but had no desire to see that movie that other movie that came out this week until streaming. I can wait till streaming for that one. But for this movie, I went into it, wasn't expecting a ton. I was just going in to see a movie that looked interesting and all that stuff. Wouldn't say the expectations were extremely high or anything like that. Wouldn't say there was a huge anticipation or anything. Just going into the movie to watch a movie that looked interesting. So going into it and coming out of the movie is honestly, I really enjoyed this movie. Like, I like what they did. They did a good job of making everything make sense. The mystery aspect and the thriller aspect is very solid in the movie. Actually, it works very well, playing off each other, and it runs with a good pace. Like I just mentioned there, with the runtime 1 hour 42 minutes. There's not a moment of that time where I'm like, oh, this is taking too long. We don't need this or anything like that, man. Yeah, which is a good thing. When you have these mystery thriller films, you want them to uh, capture you and keep you interested from beginning to end. So, of course, I don't spoil anything, so I talk around a lot of stuff when reviewing the movies here. So, basically, Channing Tatum's the star of the film, and pretty honestly, really solid cast for the movie. I need to pull the cast up real quick because a lot of people you probably know in this movie, and the movie is directed by Zoe Kravitz. She is not starring in the movie, but she's directing it. Her first directorial debut of a film. But yeah, we got Channing Tatum, we got Naomi Aki, uh, Adria Argana, suck with names, Leah Shawkat. We've got Haley Joel Osment in this freaking thing. Simon Rex, Christian Slater, Gina freaking Davis is in this movie, man. Just an unbelievably solid cast, and every single one of them nails what they need to nail throughout the movie. Like, all of them play the characters that they're asked to play expertly. Like, I think every single one of them's good. Now, is there any comedy involved in the movie? Yes, there's a little bit of comedy involved in the movie, but not like slapstick comedy, not over the top comedy, nothing like that, man. Like, it's comedy that fits the scenes very well and gets you to have some kind of snickers throughout the movie, a little teehees, if you will. But I like those aspects, and it was good to have it. Maybe they put it in there to kind of ease you a little bit of the stuff that's going on, because it does get pretty intense. And I need to pull this up actually, because before the movie even starts, there is a warning that pops up before you end up watching the whole thing. So let me see if I can get that warning up here. But yeah, so the movie can get intense, which is a good thing, for, again, once a mystery thriller. So yes, there's a trigger warning that says, we are proud to finally share Blink Twice with audiences in theaters worldwide this week. Blink Twice is a psychological thriller about the abuse of power. While this is a fictionalized movie, it contains mature themes and depicts violence, including sexual violence. This may be upsetting or triggering for some viewers. For resources that offer support, visit blinktwiceresources.com. So that warning was sent out via social media for the film, and it was played before the movie. They put that up on the screen for people to read before going in to let you know that you're getting into something that's going to have some tough material involved in it. And it is a little tough to watch, of course, with those kind of things. And movie that's where the pacing kind of works out to a degree because it gets you through it a good bit, but it's a thriller, man. Like, it is a thriller. So you're starting off the movie, you get to know our two main girls who are our main characters in the film. Opposite, of course, Channing Tatum. We get introduced to them. We get to see their friendship and all that stuff. We see where they work, and they run into Channing Tatum's character, who is a billionaire, playboy, techie guy, and you know one of them befriends him. He invites them to his private island, and from there it's just like debauchery, drugs, just craziness, alcohol, running around, living an insane life. Everybody's having a great time. That's one of the things that Channing Tatum's character, a couple other people say in the movie as well, as they'll ask the character, "Are you having a good time?" and all that stuff. And you just see it's just people having fun, if you will. But there's something dark and sinister that's going on. It kind of starts, and it pace again. The pacing of the movie is really solid here because it paces itself into, like, if you didn't see the trailer, you didn't read the synopsis, you just went into the movie, you wouldn't know that something is about to happen, right? So, and they don't give that away in the trailer or the synopsis or anything like that. But there's an underlying something that's happening. So you're living in this fantasy world, you're living in like a dream world and all that stuff. But as time goes on, things start becoming a little weird. Like they showed in the trailer, the girl has dirt under her nails, but she doesn't know why there's dirt there. She doesn't understand that. One of the friends is missing. She's wondering where that person went. What's going on here? What's happening with this? Blah 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 blah. Those aren't spoilers. Those are all in the trailer. So again, it's that the way that they worked through the movie, I think was really good. Like, very honestly, as I'm sitting here, very solid movie. And first, especially for a movie that I didn't have huge anticipation for. It's just like a movie I wanted to see, but it wasn't like, oh, this is going to be awesome, or I think this is going to be incredible. Like, it ended up being a very solid movie, like a very, very good movie. The ending, take it how you want it. Some people might be certain ways about it, but I was fine with the way the movie progressed. I was fine with the way the movie ended up ending, and I like how everything worked out. There's no credit scenes or anything like that. Again, this is just like a straightforward mystery thriller film. There shouldn't really be a credit scene anyways, but well done. Bravo to Zoe Kravitz for her directorial debut, and Channing Tatum's great in it. He's Channing Tatum's one of those actors that had to like grow on me for some reason. Like, I didn't really ever care about the dancing movies that he did or anything like that, and all that stuff. I had fun with 22 Jump Street, 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, stuff like that. But I wasn't hugely in love with Channing Tatum like a lot of people were and are. And I got used to him, and he's really good in this movie. Like, he does a really good job in this movie, and obviously having a pretty solid year so far. So this movie did well. It did beat out The Crow this week, which was expected. The Crow was not getting too good of reviews. Of course, everybody should see the movies for themselves and make up their own decisions on films. But both those movies released this week. I kind of vaguely mentioned earlier, I had no intentions of seeing The Crow. But Blink Twice is the one I ended up seeing and ended up really enjoying. So it was a pleasant surprise. Very solid movie. Doesn't make my top 10 of the year. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see how things unfold here. But I like what they did. I think it was very well written. I think it was very well acted. And I think very well paced. So Blink Twice. Those are my spoiler-free thoughts for you. If you saw the movie over the weekend, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments. But that is my thoughts, man. So going from there, let's jump into some news talk. Well, since we're on the thriller side, let's go ahead and jump into horror. Not a lot to talk about here. There's another movie that released this week, very limited in theaters, called Stream. This movie has a strong cast as well in it, and one of the big things that was announced about this movie, as I'm pulling up the Streamcast, is Streamcast is hilarious. As I'm pulling this up, it's got Dee Wallace in it, it's got Danielle Harris in it, Tony Todd's in the movie, so it's got like a who's who of horror people in there. If you're a fan of the Terrifier movies, David Howard Thornton's in it and all that stuff. Bill Moseley, just like a who's who of horror, right? And one of the biggest names in you can say horror, you can say acting in general. Um, Tim Curry is in this movie. That was announced before the movie came out, probably to help people go see the movie because again, limited engagements for this film. But it was announced that he was in the movie, and he hasn't, from what I understand, he hasn't been on a feature film since 2010, from what I saw. And now, of course, I think the last thing he may have done, he does a lot of voice work. Like the last time I saw him on screen was the Rocky Horror Picture Show Time Warp or whatever they called it. That was on Fox. It was like the live event show. I don't even think it was live, honestly. I think it was just recorded or whatever. Um, don't remember much about it. I remember Victoria Justice being fantastic in it. I remember Adam Lambert being awesome in it. But um, I remember Tim Curry, of course, being in it because it was great to see Tim Curry doing something. But that's big. And I thought about seeing the movie, but it just couldn't get the time. Again, it was very limited engagements for the movie. Looking at times at the Regal app, doesn't seem like it's going to be theaters again. I don't know where it's going from here, but if you did end up seeing it, good for you. But yeah, that was the big news, is that Tim Curry was in a feature film for the first time since 2010. So that's a big time there. Other news to talk about involving horror video games, Supermassive Games. Again, if you've been with me with this show for a while, you know how much I love the Supermassive Games and what they've created with, of course, Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures anthology. Great horror games. If you haven't played them, get into those. Those are some good times, and it plays like a movie. Plays like movies. So Dark Pictures Anthology has announced its second season. And we were wondering if there's going to be a season 2 or when it will eventually come or not. And at Gamescom, they have announced the start of season 2 of the Dark Pictures Anthology with the first game, Directive 8020, which they did debut a trailer for. I shared on my social medias. If you follow me, review it, Rob. So interesting trailer. Looks really good. That game is basically, quote, haunted by an alien organism capable of mimicking its prey. The crew of the Cassiopeia must outwit their pursuers to make it home alive. As they battle to survive, they are confronted with the hardest choice of all. To save themselves, they must risk the lives of everyone on Earth. So key features include next-gen cinematic survival horror, so experience immersive cinematic storytelling, edge-of-your-seat horror on a deep space mission to save humanity. Again, the stories that they put together and the idea of how to play these games where you're making choices and the choices you make is going to affect the story going forward. Absolutely love that. Real-time alien threats. So you'll evade a deadly alien threat that roams the dark corridors of the ship, intent on eradicating the human life. Overcome your enemies using improvised weapons, lightning reflexes, and stealth. And then trust no one. So you're encountering an alien life form that perfectly imitates its prey. Years of training and trust are lost among the crew when their enemy hides in plain sight. Who is human, who is not? Your choices are now more important than ever. So again, the Supermassive game is really cool, especially with those details of where you choose how the story goes throughout the actions that you make throughout the game, and that gives you multiple ways to play the game and ways to either save people. Did you save the right person or not? Is what it sounds like with this game. So obviously very excited for this game. I've enjoyed, again, what they've done over there with the Supermassive stuff. So can't wait to check that out. Let's see, DC wise, again, not a whole lot of news to talk about. We found out that the Batman 2 will be filming next year, so we know that. We're still waiting for the Joker Folie à Deux movie that releases later this year. Creature Commandos releases later this year as well. The official start of the DCU over there, and that's about it. We don't know too much else outside of that. Other than that, but interesting things have happened this week since the last time we've talked here. Is Beetlejuice? Beetlejuice is coming out, and the press tours are going on for that. And of course, Tim Burton is the director of Beetlejuice, and Michael Keaton, of course, is reprising his role as Beetlejuice. So they have been asked certain things, and DC's Batman films have come up because, of course, Tim Burton, Michael Keaton did Batman and Batman Returns back in '89 and '91. So those two have been asked questions about certain things, or it's been brought up in certain ways and all that stuff. 92 on Batman Returns, excuse me. So one of the things that came up is Tim Burton was asked if he'd do another superhero movie because, of course, Sam Raimi just returned recently to do a superhero movie and all that. And Tim Burton said, pretty much, I'll never say never to it, but he's not really looking at it at the moment. It's not something he's really thinking about. So that's on the back burner for now. Who knows what ends up happening there? Michael Keaton on Tim Burton said that, quote, he changed everything. I can't necessarily say this, but there's a strong possibility there is no Marvel universe, there is no DC universe without Tim Burton. He was doubted and questioned, end quote. And then, of course, there was some questions about Batman. So Tim Burton's Batman. It seems interesting going back and watching his Batman movies. When I say this, his Batman was a little more serious take, a definitely darker take from what we've seen from Batman at that point, because you had like the Adam West Batman, which nothing against Adam West's Batman, but very comical, very over the top. The bam booms on the screen, bats, shark repellent, stuff like that. So a little more serious take with Batman and Batman Returns, darker take and all that stuff. So I can see where that kind of could have helped where things went. But of course, Joel Schumacher came in after that and kind of turned it back on his head, especially with Batman and Robin. Um, the Marvel side of things were wherever they were at that point in time. Again, if you're new to the show, I pay more attention to DC obviously than I do Marvel, but Marvel was kind of still trying to build at that point. They're doing a lot of licensing, which has gotten them in trouble now, especially with Spider-Man and Sony rights and all that stuff. But they've got all the other stuff back. It's just that's the main thing they got to deal with. But to me, and I've always said this, where we're at in the world of comic book films now is like you can give some praise to Tim Burton, I guess, but mainly it's on Christopher Nolan because to me, if Batman Begins didn't work, if Batman Begins wasn't so well made and so well put together and such a solid film about how to bring in a character and how to do an origin story and how to make these movies uh, a little bit real, right? If that didn't work, Iron Man's not going to work. So what Christopher Nolan did with Batman Begins is, to me, the huge blueprint of what Marvel has used and what DC honestly has used going since then. And then of course the Dark Knight and all that stuff. The Dark Knight and Iron Man came out the same year. So, but I think Batman Begins was the huge change in where we're at now with comic book films. So, or at least the beginning phases of it and all that stuff. So that's to me. But I get it. And he's supporting Tim Burton, and kind of there's a little bit of I think we can throw that in there with. But another thing that came up with Michael Keaton was Batgirl, the Batgirl movie that was supposed to happen. Obviously, it's been a huge story for whenever since it's happened that they shelved Batgirl. Like they shot that movie and they just threw it away for tax write off or whatever. And Michael Keaton was asked how he felt about it, if he was upset about it or anything like that. And he said, quote, "No, I didn't care one way or the other. Big fun, nice check." And then, of course, he was said to be rubbing his fingers together in the Universal Gesture for Moolah. He did go on saying he was upset for the directors, saying they're great guys, they're nice guys, and wished the best for them. And he felt bad for them. But for him personally, it wasn't that big of a loss. So, and of course, he was in The Flash not too long after that. So he's playing the character again there. So I understand. It's like nothing against Michael Keaton on that feeling, obviously. But and of course, the brothers, the directors, got to do Bad Boys 4 that came out earlier this year and did pretty well. So all seems good. I've been over that Batgirl story for a long time, but it came up recently as DC news, so we had to talk about it here. All right, so let's see. Shifting from there, before we close it out, we got some other bits of news to talk over real quick. Anaconda is being not necessarily remade, but they're doing a film around Anaconda with Jack Black and Paul Rudd starring in it. I'm a fan of both of them, so it's going to be a comedy film, obviously. Not obviously, because they can obviously do other things, but they mostly have done comedy work, right? But it's really like a comedy take. Apparently, both of them were huge fans of the Anaconda movie, so they're going to try to remake the movie within the movie and try to. I don't know. I don't fully know where that's going, but what I do know is I'll be going to the movie theater to see it because that's going to be interesting. Other news: James Spader will be reprising his role as Ultron, from the 2015 Avengers Age of Ultron film. And he'll be doing that in the Vision series, which will, of course, bring Paul Bettany back to play the role of Vision, who we last saw in WandaVision. It's like White Vision, right? He's like the all white version. Um, I say this in the nicest way. I really don't care about this show. And I think this is probably why they've announced Ultron showing up at the shows. Maybe not too many people are all that interested in it anyways. Who knows? I can't speak for everybody. I didn't necessarily care. I haven't watched a Marvel show in, I think Hawkeye was the last one I watched. Hawkeye. Yeah, it's probably Hawkeye. Was the last show I watched. And I enjoyed it. To be fair, I did enjoy it, but I could care less about, I don't know. It doesn't interest me as much as does other people. The movies, fine. I will gladly see those movies or movies. But the shows, I'm like, eh. Um, so I can't say, like, adding Ultron into this is interesting. I've always felt like Ultron really hasn't been gone anyways. Um, like, I haven't seen the end of Avengers Age of Ultron for a while, but it never really felt like, to me, that Ultron was done. And, of course, Ultron and Vision had their battles and all that stuff. So it's interesting. To me, I would have saved this. Like, this is one of those things where I didn't really need to, put that out there. um, that, Ultron was in it. Like, I get it. You're probably trying to get people to watch the Vision show. Maybe that's the reason for announcing this, but I would have let that be a surprise within the show. And I felt the same way about going back to Batman versus Superman, like showing Wonder Woman in the trailer. Would have never done that. I would have just let that be a surprise in the movie. But it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do to, I guess, market the movie to get people in there. So if that's the route they want to go, that's the route they're going. And Ultron is now announced to be in the Vision show. So again, that'll probably help people see it, but we'll see. And the last thing to talk about, really cool thing that's happening is they're doing a documentary on the life and career of John Williams, man, one of the most legendary, if not the most legendary composer in films. They're doing that in a limited theatrical release, and there's going to be a streaming release for it on November 1st on Disney Plus. So that's extremely exciting. Like, I'm very into that idea. Like, I love John Williams. So many of his songs are on my freaking phone. Which of course all of us use our phones for a lot of things, but I have the YouTube Music app is what I was getting at, and I have so many of his songs. I mean, freaking Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, Star Wars, just Indiana Jones. Just name like a couple of things that he's done. It's like that man is film history. Like everything those songs are just the like memorable things of the world. Like, and that's just some of them. Like, he's done so many things, man. I implore you to check out his music. If you've seen Jurassic Park, you've heard his music. You've seen Harry Potter, you've heard his music. Like, that man is amazing. And, I'm so glad they're doing a documentary on his career and his life and all that. I'm going to be gladly watching that and having a good time. This is why I have Disney Plus right here. Stuff like this, the documentary stuff. I've been having fun, honestly, with Disney Plus recently. I watched, the Adventures of Ichabod, Mr. Toad, and I watched the Skeleton Dance short because that just hit its 95th anniversary. So I'm having some fun getting in the spooky season vibes and all that stuff. And I'll obviously be using it more for any other kind of like Halloween stuff that Disney has, be it of course Nightmare Before Christmas or Halloween episodes or shows or Halloween Town, maybe. I don't fucking know, but I'll be using it for something. But and I just dropped the F bomb, man. That's what happens when you record the show late. But other than that, honestly, just living life, doing the things, having a good time, playing video games, trying to decide if I want to buy the college football game, but also have a trip to plan for. It's coming up very soon, which means I need to get walking even more. I say that at the end of every episode. I'm like, I need to walk even more because there's a lot of walking involved in, theme park stuff. But getting excited for that nonetheless. This is the thing I look forward to every year. And I love the spooky season trip down to Universal and having a good time down there. So see what I get involved in, see what kind of things I can do, have more fun. Obviously, I'm going to have a blast at Halloween Horror Nights. They've released even more merchandise, whereas like beginning things like, I might get something. Now it's like, holy crap, there's a lot of things I want now. So, and they have a freaking marshmallow Stave Puff man on a graham cracker s'more deal. sign me up. I'm gonna have so many of those, and my stomach's gonna be hurting, man. But excited, man. And that's about it. That'll do it for this week's episode. So, as always, appreciate you hanging out with me. Again, if you saw Blink twice, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you saw The Crow, let me know what you thought about that. This seems to not be going too well, but hey, maybe you enjoyed it. And then, other things that we talked about in this episode, DC stock, horror talk, all that stuff, get those supermassive games. Those are good times. But as always, remember that, you are amazing. You're capable of incredible, incredible things. Trust in yourself, believe in yourself, love yourself. You are incredible. And always remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.